The war between humans and the Cellarans had burned for years. Across red skies and broken worlds, ships fell like dying stars. On the ground, in the middle of the burning city of Arctis 9, one man ran through the smoke. Captain Elias Kane, a human soldier with tired eyes but a strong heart. His armor was cracked, his face bleeding, but he kept moving. Because somewhere ahead, behind the enemy's defense walls, was the person he had sworn to protect. Princess Lyra of Solara. She wasn't just any alien princess. Lyra was the daughter of Queen Seraphine, ruler of the Cellaran Empire, and the one who had tried to make peace with humans before everything went wrong. Now she was trapped, surrounded by her own kind who called her a traitor for trying to stop the war. Elias's communicator crackled. "Captain, it's suicide going in there." "Pull back." He ignored the order. He had promised the Queen that her daughter would live. As he reached the crumbling palace tower, the ground shook. The enemy was using energy bombs, glowing blue lights that cracked the sky open with thunder. The palace walls were melting, and the screams of the wounded filled the air. Elias ran through the smoke, pushing fallen beams aside, his boots sliding on broken glass. At the top of the stairs he saw her, Lyra, her silver hair glowing like light in the dust. She was trapped under debris, her eyes full of pain but still shining with pride. "Elias," she gasped, her voice trembling. "You shouldn't have come. They'll kill you." "I made a promise," he said, pulling at the heavy stone over her leg. His hands burned, but he didn't stop. He used all his strength and freed her. Lyra tried to stand but stumbled. He caught her before she fell. Explosions rumbled closer. The palace trembled like it was crying. Elias looked around. There was only one way out, through a window that opened to a half-collapsed bridge. He helped her limp across the shaking ground. Below them, fire and smoke danced like monsters. Lyra looked up at the dark sky, human and alien ships firing at each other, lightning tearing through clouds. "Why are you helping me?" she whispered. "Your people hate mine." Elias gave a small, tired smile. "Because I don't fight for hate. I fight for what's right." They reached the end of the bridge just as a bomb hit nearby. The shockwave threw them off balance. Lyra fell to her knees, crying out as the bridge cracked behind them. "Go!" Elias shouted, pushing her toward the gate. "What about you?" He turned back. The energy bomb above them was glowing brighter, seconds away from exploding. He looked at her one last time. Her silver eyes met his brown ones. Fear, pain, and something else. Something unspoken. Without thinking, Elias ran back, grabbed the unstable bomb with his suit's energy field, and tried to throw it away from her. The blast came too soon, the light swallowed everything. The explosion threw Lyra across the ground and she screamed his name. "Elias!" As the world turned white. When she opened her eyes, there was only silence. The ground was gone. The palace was gone. And Elias was gone too. Only his broken helmet lay beside her, its light flickering weakly before fading out. Tears ran down her face, falling on the metal. The smoke curled around her like ghosts. She pressed the helmet to her chest and whispered, "You saved me, and I couldn't save you." Above her, the war still raged. From high above the clouds, Queen Seraphine watched through her starship's glass chamber. Her golden eyes trembled as she saw the explosion where Elias had fallen. Her daughter's life signal blinked weakly, but the humans had vanished. Her advisor bowed his head. "My queen, the human is lost." The rift consumed him. Seraphine didn't reply. Her hands clenched the railing. She could feel her daughter's grief even from space. "He died for her," she whispered softly. "He died for peace." A tear fell, glowing like starlight as it touched the glass. The queen's voice hardened, quiet but powerful. "No death will take him from my daughter." Her advisors looked up, alarmed. "My queen?" She turned, her eyes burning with strange golden fire. If the stars themselves must be rewritten, then so be it. Down below, Lyra raised her head, sensing her mother's words through the faint psychic bond all Colorans shared. The wind blew through her silver hair. The world around her was still burning, but something deep inside her heart changed. For the first time since the war began, she felt a spark of hope and a terrifying promise. The story of the man who fell was not over. The grand halls of the Cellaran royal palace were silent. Once they had glowed with light and music. Now they echoed with the sound of footsteps and sorrow. Queen Seraphine walked slowly through the empty corridor, her golden robes dragging over the cold marble floor. The light crystals above her flickered weakly, as if even the palace itself was mourning. It had been 10 days since the explosion that took the human soldier's life. 10 days since her daughter's voice had broken over the communicator, crying his name. Elias! Since that moment, Lyra had locked herself inside her room, refusing food, refusing visitors. The doctors tried to heal her wounds, but some wounds were not on the body. They were in the soul. Seraphine stopped outside Lyra's chamber. 2 guards bowed, but she lifted a hand, telling them to leave. She opened the door quietly and stepped inside. Lyra sat by the window wearing a white gown, staring at the endless stars. Her long silver hair hung loose around her face, her eyes empty and red from tears. The broken helmet of the human soldier rested on her lap. She held it gently, as if it was something alive. "My daughter," the queen said softly. Lyra didn't turn. Her voice was weak. "He saved me, mother. He should have lived. I should have been the one who fell." Seraphine's heart ached. "No, my child. He chose this path. His courage was his gift to you." Lyra's lips trembled. "Then I will find a way to return that gift." The queen froze. She knew that tone, the same stubborn fire that lived in her own heart. "Lyra," she whispered, but the princess didn't answer. Her tears fell onto the helmet, and tiny blue lights flickered from its surface, a faint trace of the energy rift that had taken Elias away. That night, when everyone else slept, Queen Seraphine stood alone in the palace garden. The twin moons shone above her. The air was cold, the stars sharp like glass. In her hands she held an ancient relic, a black crystal cube glowing faintly from within. It was forbidden even to touch. It was called the Shard of Echo, a device that allowed one to speak with the Star Oracle, a being beyond time. The queen's advisors had warned her, "Using the shard can break your mind, my queen. It is older than creation itself." But she no longer cared about warnings. Her daughter's pain was too deep and her own guilt too heavy. The human had saved Lyra, a stranger from another world. No one had ever shown such selfless courage. If there was even a small chance to bring him back, she would take it. Seraphine placed the shard on the ground and knelt. "Oracle of the stars," she whispered, "I call upon you. Show me the path to the one who fell." The garden grew still. The wind stopped. The stars above her began to twist and move, forming a spiral of light. A voice echoed, ancient, gentle, and full of sorrow. "You call me again, Queen of Solara." "Again?" Seraphine asked, trembling. "You called once before, and when your mate died in the War of Suns. You begged for his return. You were told the same truth I will tell you now." The queen closed her eyes. "Tell me. To bring back one soul, another must be given. Life is balance. To rewrite fate is to pay in blood." Seraphine's fingers clenched. "Then take mine." The stars pulsed brighter. "You would give your life for the human?" "I would give my life for my daughter's heart," she said. "He saved her. He gave her hope when our world was burning. If she loses that, she will never live again." The oracle's voice fell silent. Then slowly the stars began to dim, except for one. A single light shone brighter than the rest, pulsing like a heartbeat. "Then seek the echo of the fallen," the oracle said. "His essence was caught between moments and neither dead nor alive. But beware, Queen, the echo is not mercy. It is memory that refuses to fade." The shard cracked, its light fading. The connection was broken. The queen stood, trembling. Her golden eyes reflected the stars. She had her answer, but it was a terrible one. Somewhere in the vastness of space, a piece of Elias still existed. Not his body, not his breath, but something else. A heartbeat lost between time. She turned toward the horizon where the first rays of dawn touched the palace towers. The war might still rage, but her mission had changed. For the first time since her husband's death, Queen Seraphine smiled, a sad, fierce smile. "If the stars demand a life," she whispered, "then let them have mine. But I will bring him back." In her chamber, Lyra suddenly awoke from a dream, a voice echoing in her mind. The echo of the fallen. She looked at the helmet in her hands. A faint pulse of light shimmered inside it, like a tiny beating heart. She gasped softly. "Elias?" Far away from the shining cities of Solara, on a lonely dead moon called Varith, The wind howled across black rocks. Nothing lived there, no plants, no air, only dust and silence. But deep under its frozen surface, something began to move. In a cave filled with glowing blue mist, a small crystal pulsed like a heart. Inside it was a shape, not quite human, not quite light. It shimmered every few seconds, sending soft waves of energy into the cold darkness. The echo had awakened. In the Celeran capital, Queen Seraphine stood on the balcony of her tower, staring at the same stars where the oracle's voice had faded days ago. Her scientists and priests had been searching across galaxies for any sign, any proof that the human soul still existed. Tonight, they had found something. "My queen," said Admiral Thane, kneeling before her. "Our sensors picked up a strange reading on the dark side of Moon Vareth. It matches the frequency of the human soldier's life signature recorded before his death." Seraphine's heart skipped a beat. "Show me." A hologram flickered to life, a beating pulse of blue light deep underground. It was faint but steady, the same pattern that once came from Elias Kane's heart. "Prepare a research vessel," the Queen ordered quietly. "We leave within the hour." Thane hesitated. "Your Majesty, that moon is unstable. No ship has ever returned from its surface." She turned to him, her golden eyes sharp. "Then we will be the first." Meanwhile, Princess Lyra stood before her mirror wearing her travel armor. Her face was pale, her hands trembling, but her eyes and her mother's eyes burned with determination. She had overheard the conversation. If there was a chance Elias still existed, she had to see it herself. When her mother entered the hangar, Lyra was already inside the ship. Seraphine sighed softly. "You shouldn't be here, my daughter." Lyra met her gaze. "Neither should you, mother. But if you go, I go too." For a long moment the Queen said nothing. Then she gave a small nod. "Very well. We go together." Hours later, the ship descended onto Moon Vareth. The surface was endless gray stone under a sky filled with electric storms. The crew wore heavy suits to survive the magnetic winds. Lyra looked out the window as the ship touched down. "It feels like a graveyard," she whispered. Seraphine replied quietly, "Every grave hides a story. Today we will uncover one." They entered the cave, a twisting tunnel that seemed to hum like a living thing. The deeper they went, the warmer the air became. The walls glowed faintly with blue veins of energy. At last they reached a massive chamber. In the center floated a crystal sphere glowing softly. Inside, a human shape flickered, eyes closed, chest rising and falling with slow, silent breaths. Lyra froze. "It's him," she whispered. "Elias." Her voice trembled as she stepped closer. She could almost hear his heartbeat echoing through the chamber. The same sound that once comforted her on the battlefield. Seraphine placed a hand on her daughter's shoulder. "Careful. The energy here is unstable. One wrong move could destroy what remains of him." A scientist approached the readings. "Your Majesty, the energy around the body is not death energy. It's memory energy. The echo of the man who fell. His consciousness might still exist, dreaming between time." Lyra turned sharply. "Then we can wake him?" The scientist hesitated. "No, not yet. If we break the crystal too soon, his soul could scatter into starlight." Lyra's eyes filled with tears. "Then what can we do?" Queen Seraphine looked at the sphere, her golden eyes reflecting its glow. "We wait, we study, and when the time comes, I will call upon the stars themselves to complete him." As she spoke, the light in the chamber dimmed, as if something far away was listening. The crystal pulsed brighter. A faint whisper echoed through the air. "Lyra." Everyone froze. The word had come from the crystal. The sound was faint but real. Lyra's heart raced. "Elias, is that you?" Another whisper followed, softer, broken. "Cold. Dark. Where are you?" She pressed her hands against the crystal, her tears falling on its surface. "I'm here." "You're not alone!" The glow inside grew stronger and responding to her voice. The scientists shouted warnings, but Lyra didn't move. Suddenly, the crystal cracked. Blue light burst outward, sending a shock wave across the chamber. The soldiers were thrown to the ground. The Queen shielded her daughter with her cloak. When the light faded, the human shape was gone. But something new floated in the air. A glowing mark, a heart-shaped symbol made of starlight, hovered above Lyra's hands before sinking into her chest. She gasped, feeling warmth spread through her body. Seraphine stared in shock. "What happened?" A trembling scientist answered, "My queen." Part of his energy has merged with the princess. He is connected to her now. Lyra clutched her chest, her eyes wide. She could feel him, not as a voice, but as a heartbeat beside her own. And deep inside her soul, Elias whispered again. The ship floated quietly above the dying moon Vareth. Inside, the air felt heavy, filled with both fear and hope. For the first time in weeks, Princess Lyra was not crying. Her eyes still carried sadness, but now there was something new. A spark, a faint light inside her that pulsed like a second heartbeat. She could feel him. Whenever she closed her eyes, she sensed Elias. His warmth, his strength, his voice echoing softly in her mind. "Don't cry. I'm still here." The memory of those words stayed with her every second. In the Queen's private chamber, Seraphine stood beside a floating screen, watching the energy readings. Her scientists moved nervously, whispering among themselves. One of them said, "My queen, the data confirms it. Part of the human's life force now lives inside Princess Lyra, but it's incomplete. His soul is trapped between worlds. He needs a new body, a vessel strong enough to hold what's left of him." Seraphine's voice was calm but cold. "Then we must rebuild him." The scientist hesitated. "It's not that simple. To give shape to pure energy, we need something stronger than any power we know. We would need the core star itself." The room fell silent. Everyone looked up in shock. The core star, the heart of the galaxy, was the first light of creation. Its energy-shaped worlds gave birth to life and kept balance between time and matter. No one had ever dared touch it. The Queen turned slowly toward the scientist. "You mean the Star of Origins?" He nodded. "Yes, my queen, it is forbidden by ancient law. To draw from it is to rewrite reality." Seraphine smiled faintly. "Then it seems we are already breaking laws." Later that night, Lyra entered the chamber quietly. She looked tired but calmer. Her hands glowed softly where Elias's light still touched her. "Mother," she said, "I can feel him. He's alive, but he's fading. His light inside me grows weaker each hour." The Queen studied her daughter's face. "Then we must act before he disappears completely." Lyra frowned. "Act how?" Seraphine hesitated. "I'm going to draw energy from the core star. With that I can rebuild his body, piece by piece, and pull his soul back into it." Lyra's eyes widened. "The core star? That's madness. Even the gods fear touching it." Seraphine stepped closer, her golden eyes bright with determination. "I fear nothing when it comes to saving you. That man gave his life for you, Lyra. I will give the universe for him if I must." Lyra's voice broke. "But if you take power from the star, the galaxy could collapse. Millions could die." The Queen's face softened. "I know." She touched her daughter's cheek gently. "But sometimes, to save one light, you must walk through darkness." The next day, the royal ship Eternus flew toward the forbidden starfield, a region known as the Crown of Creation. It was said that even light moves slower there, and time itself bent around the core star's power. As they approached, the star filled the entire sky, a massive sphere of golden white fire pulsing like a living heart. The ship's shields groaned under the pressure. Seraphine stood at the viewing deck, her robes shining like molten gold under the star's glow. "Prepare the conduits," she ordered. "Link the princess's energy to the star channel. His essence must be guided through her bond." Lyra's hands shook. "Mother, please stop. I can feel his pain. He doesn't want this," but the Queen had already begun. Ancient symbols lit up around her, words older than any language. The ship trembled as beams of light struck the chamber. The scientists screamed warnings. "The energy is too strong. The star is reacting." Seraphine spread her arms wide, her voice rising. "By the power that shaped the stars, I command the gates of life to open." The core star roared and a blinding light filled the deck. Lyra cried out as the glow inside her chest exploded, spreading outward like wings of fire. For a heartbeat she saw him, Elias, standing in the light, reaching for her hand. "Lyra," he whispered. She reached back, but before their fingers could touch, a shockwave blasted through the ship. The hull cracked. Alarm screamed. The scientists were thrown to the floor. "The star is rejecting us." The Queen gritted her teeth, forcing herself to stay standing. "No, I will not stop." Energy whipped around her like a storm. The golden markings burned across her skin and blood ran from her eyes. Then one silence. The light faded. The ship floated still. Lyra crawled forward, coughing. "Mother?" Seraphine was on her knees, trembling, smoke rising from her hands. Her voice was weak but steady. "He's alive," she whispered. I felt his heartbeat return. Lyra's tears fell. "You nearly died." The Queen smiled faintly. "He is worth it. You both are." On the ship's monitor, a new signal appeared. A pulse of blue light, strong and steady, coming from deep space. It was Elias's energy, alive, growing stronger. But in the corner of the screen, another warning flashed red. Cosmic balance disrupted. Reality drift detected. The Queen's face turned pale. The stars outside began to tremble, like the universe itself had felt her defiance. The core star had been silent for 1,000 ages. It was the first light of the universe, the pulse that gave birth to galaxies. But now, it bled. Streams of red and gold energy spilled into space, painting the void with rivers of fire. Across worlds, priests fell to their knees, whispering in fear. The laws of creation were breaking, because one queen dared to steal light from the heart of everything. Inside the royal ship Eternus, alarms screamed through every corridor. Energy waves hit the hull like thunder. The walls glowed, the floors shook. "Shut down the conduits," shouted an officer. "The core is destabilizing." But in the command chamber, Queen Seraphine stood calm, her golden eyes fixed on the screens showing the bleeding star. Her hands trembled, burned by the ritual's energy, yet she smiled faintly. She could feel it. He was alive. Down in the med bay, Princess Lyra lay on a white bed, breathing fast. Her body glowed faintly from within, Elias's essence pulsing like living fire in her veins. Her mother entered quietly, kneeling beside her. "Mother," Lyra whispered. "The stars are crying." Seraphine brushed the sweat from her daughter's forehead. "The universe will heal." Lyra shook her head weakly. "No, I can feel it. It's angry. You pulled too much from the core." Before the Queen could answer, a deep hum filled the air. The lights flickered. Every screen flashed with strange patterns, circles of light that spiraled like living eyes. Then a voice, not human, not Solaran, echoed through the ship. It was soft, deep, and endless. "Who dares wound the heart of the stars?" Everyone froze. The crew looked at one another in terror. Seraphine rose slowly. "I am Queen Seraphine of Celera. I did what I must, and for love, for my child, for the one who gave his life to save her." "You have touched forbidden fire," the voice replied. "The balance is broken. The universe demands repayment." Lyra tried to sit up. "Wait, he's not evil. He died saving me. Please don't take him away." The voice seemed to sigh, like the sound of wind over eternity. "Every light has its cost, child of flesh. The one you seek is reborn, but at the price of countless stars." At that very moment, far away, amid a sea of shattered light, Elias opened his eyes. He floated in nothingness, surrounded by broken pieces of stars. His body was whole again, glowing faintly with blue fire. He breathed, but the air was not air. He saw, but the world had no shape. "Where am I?" he whispered. A faint light appeared before him, Lyra's image shining softly. "Elias."
"Can you hear me?"
He reached out. "Lyra? Yes." "You're alive. My mother brought you back." He blinked slowly, confusion mixing with wonder. "Your mother?" "The Queen. She used the core star, but now the universe is angry. We don't have much time." Elias looked around, and the pieces of light around him began to fade into darkness. "I don't understand. I should be dead." Lyra's image smiled sadly. "You were. But love doesn't always obey rules." He laughed softly. "Then I guess love broke the universe." But his smile faded when he saw the cracks spreading across the void. Stars dimmed one by one. Space itself seemed to bleed light. "Lyra, what's happening?" Her image flickered. "The balance is failing. The core star is collapsing. You must come back, Elia, now." On the ship, Seraphine shouted orders. "Stabilize the conduit. Lock onto his signal." The scientists worked quickly, their fingers flying across control panels. "We're losing containment, my queen. If the core collapses, it will take half the galaxy with it." Seraphine turned to her daughter. "Lyra, connect with him again. Guide him back through your link." Lyra closed her eyes, gripping the glowing crystal at her neck. "Elias, follow my voice." In the endless dark, he heard her. He began to move, or maybe just will himself closer. The light around him grew stronger as he reached for her hand that wasn't truly there. The ship's sensors spiked. His signal is merging. He's almost here. Then, silence. A burst of blue light exploded through the chamber. When it cleared, Elias Kane lay on the floor, unconscious but breathing. Lyra gasped, tears filling her eyes. He's back. He's really back. She knelt beside him, touching his face gently. His skin was warm, his chest rose and fell. But before joy could settle, the ship shuddered again. A dark crack appeared outside the viewing deck, not in glass but in space itself. Seraphine's face went pale. The universe is tearing. Through the rift, shapes began to emerge, tall, glowing figures made of pure light, their faces hidden by burning halos. The ship's AI spoke in a trembling voice. Warning. Celestial entities detected. The Queen straightened her back, her burned hands trembling. The hunters have come. Lyra looked up in confusion. Hunters? Seraphine's voice turned to steel. The guardians of balance. They erase anything that breaks cosmic law. Her gaze fell on Elias and still unconscious. They're here. For him. The ship Eternus drifted quietly through deep space. Around it the stars shimmered strangely, as if afraid. The air inside the ship felt heavy like the silence before a storm. Elias Kane lay on the med table, eyes closed. His chest rose and fell slowly, glowing faint blue with every breath. Machines hummed softly around him, reading impossible numbers. Beside him, Princess Lyra sat motionless, holding his hand tightly. She had been there for hours, afraid to blink, afraid he might vanish again. Finally, his fingers twitched. Elias? She whispered, her voice trembling. His eyes opened. Not brown anymore, but silver, reflecting faint starlight. For a moment, he didn't move. His gaze drifted from the ceiling to her face. Lyra, he said softly. His voice was the same, calm, warm, but deeper, like it carried an echo of the universe itself. Tears filled her eyes. You're alive. You're really here. He smiled weakly. I can remember falling. The light. Your voice calling me. Lyra pressed his hand to her heart. My mother did it. She brought you back. His smile faded. Then why do I feel wrong? Queen Seraphine entered the chamber with 2 royal healers. Her body was still weak from the core ritual, her hands wrapped in golden bandages glowing faintly. When Elias saw her, he tried to stand, but his legs trembled. The Queen raised a hand. Rest, Captain. You have crossed death itself. Elias looked down at his hands. Sparks of blue light flickered under his skin. I'm not sure I'm still human. Seraphine's eyes softened. You are more than human now. And that may be the only reason you survived. Before Lyra could speak, the ship trembled. A loud alarm echoed through the hall. The captain's voice crackled through the speakers. My queen, unknown entities approaching. Dozens, no hundreds. They're not ships, they're made of light. Seraphine's face darkened. The hunters. Outside the ship, space rippled. Gigantic shapes formed. Beings of pure radiance, wings of fire stretching across galaxies. Their eyes burned like suns. Their voices thundered without sound. Balance was broken. The one who defied death must return to the void. Lyra held Elias's arm. They mean you. He stared through the glass at the glowing shapes. Then they'll have to fight for me. But even as he spoke, something shifted inside him. His heart pulsed painfully. His skin glowed brighter, his veins shining blue. He gasped and fell to his knees. Lyra cried out, Elias! The Queen knelt beside him, scanning his vitals. His body is rejecting existence. He was never meant to come back. Elias gritted his teeth. I can feel everything. The stars, the pain, your fear. It's all inside me. The air around him began to shimmer. Gravity flickered. Tools rose off the floor, floating weightlessly. Seraphine's voice was steady but filled with sorrow. The core star gave him part of its essence. He's no longer a man, he's half light, half time. The universe itself moves through him. Lyra shook her head, tears falling fast. No, he's Elias. He's still him. Elias reached out, touching her cheek. His touch was warm, too warm, like sunlight. I'm trying to be, but I don't know if I can. The ship shook again. Outside, one of the celestial hunters raised a blade made of fire and pointed it at the Eternus. Surrender the reborn one, the voice boomed. or all shall burn." The queen stood tall. "You will not touch my daughter, or the one who saved her. You broke the first law you stole from the core." Seraphine's eyes flashed gold. "Then judge me, not him." The beings paused. The largest one leaned forward, its burning face unreadable. "The law is clear. The one reborn and the one who brought him must return their light to the stars." Lyra screamed, "No!" She turned to Elias, gripping his hand. "We'll run. We'll find another world. I'll hide you." Elias shook his head slowly. "There's nowhere to hide from the stars. Lyra." Then something strange happened. His heartbeat synced with the hum of the ship, the lights dimming and brightening with every pulse. A deep blue aura spread from him, filling the room with calm warmth. For a moment, even the hunters outside hesitated. Elias looked at Seraphine. "You gave everything to bring me back. Let me give something in return." She frowned. "What are you saying?" He smiled faintly. "Maybe. I can fix what we broke." Before anyone could stop him, he walked toward the main viewport. His feet left glowing prints on the metal floor. Lyra ran after him. "Don't you dare leave me again." He turned, brushing a tear from her face. "If I don't, the universe will end," she sobbed. "I don't care. We can face it together." He touched her forehead gently. "You already gave me enough, your light, your heart. I'll carry that forever." Then his body began to dissolve into light. Lyra screamed and reached for him, but her fingers passed through glowing mist. Elias looked at her one last time, his voice soft and full of love. "Tell your mother. Thank you." And then he was gone, a flash of blue fire shooting into the stars. Outside, the hunters turned, following the light as it vanished into the core's direction. The bleeding of the stars slowed. The universe began to heal. Lyra fell to her knees, sobbing into her hands. Seraphine stood behind her, eyes shining with both grief and pride. "He didn't just return," she whispered. "He became part of the stars." Silence. After endless days of chaos and light, the galaxy finally fell silent. The bleeding stars had stopped crying, and the core burned gently again, calm, golden, alive, but aboard the royal ship Eternus, there was no peace. Princess Lyra sat near the main viewport, staring at the glowing sky. Her eyes were empty, her face pale. The stars outside twinkled like they were whispering, but she couldn't hear them anymore. The only sound she heard was his voice, the last thing he said before he vanished. "Tell your mother. Thank you." She pressed her forehead against the cold glass. "You promised you'd come back," she whispered. "You said you'd stay?" Her hand glowed faintly, a small trace of the light he had left inside her. It was the only warmth she had left. Behind her, Queen Seraphine stood silently, wearing a long black cloak. Her golden eyes were dim. Her face looked older than before, marked by grief and guilt. She had saved her daughter, yes, but in doing so she had doomed the man who saved them both. She walked forward, resting a hand on Lyra's shoulder. "The hunters have gone," she said softly. "The universe is stable again." Lyra didn't move. "At what cost?" The Queen's hand trembled. "A cost I will never stop paying." Hours passed. The ship floated through the calm dark, its engines off. The crew whispered prayers, afraid to speak loudly. They all knew they had witnessed something forbidden. A man turned into a star, a queen who defied the laws of creation. In the command chamber, Seraphine stood alone, staring at a star map. In the center, a new light glowed, small, blue, and steady. The ship's AI spoke quietly. "Unknown celestial object detected, my queen. Energy signature matches." Human essence, her breath caught. "Show me." The screen zoomed in. There, in the middle of the crown of creation, was a faint blue star, one that hadn't existed before. Lyra entered, drawn by the sound. When she saw the star, her lips trembled. "That's him," she whispered. "I can feel it." Her mother nodded slowly. "Yes, Elias Kane, now part of the heavens." Lyra fell to her knees, tears streaming down her face. "He gave everything again, just to save us." Seraphine touched the glass, her golden eyes reflecting the tiny blue star. "He is not gone, my child. He is where all heroes go, in the heart of eternity." Days later, Solara returned to peace. The war ended. The other races, seeing the core star's power awaken, laid down their weapons in fear and awe. The Queen's actions had changed everything. not just for her empire, but for all life. Yet inside the palace, the queen's health faded. The ritual had taken too much. Her energy burned low like a candle running out of wax. One evening, she sat with Lyra in the royal garden beneath twin moons. The flowers glowed softly under the starlight. "Do you remember what the oracle said?" Seraphine asked quietly. Lyra nodded. "That the universe demands balance." The queen smiled faintly. "Yes, I gave part of my life to bring him back. Now it is time for the stars to take the rest." Lyra's heart pounded. "No, you can't leave me too." Seraphine reached out, touching her daughter's cheek. "Listen to me, my child. You must live. Rule with kindness, not pride. The stars are cruel, but you must not be." Lyra sobbed. "Mother, please." The queen's golden eyes shimmered with tears. "Do you see that star? The blue one that never fades?" Lyra turned to look. "Yes." "It watches you always. That is my gift and his. Whenever you feel lost, look up. You will find us there." Her voice grew softer. "Tell him. I kept my promise." The queen leaned back against the silver tree behind her. The light in her eyes dimmed and her last breath escaped like a whisper. Lyra held her close, crying into her robes. "Mother, please, no." But the air around them began to shimmer. The queen's body turned to light, rising slowly into the night sky, forming a trail of golden sparkles that joined the blue star above. Together, the two lights, gold and blue, shone brighter than all the others. Years passed. The galaxy remembered that night, the day a queen rewrote the stars. Temples were built in her honor, and a single blue star in the heavens was called the heart of the human. On quiet nights, travelers said they could see a faint image in its glow, a man and a woman standing together, watching over the world below. One evening, Empress Lyra stood alone on her balcony. She was older now, wiser, her silver hair glowing in the starlight. In her hand, she still carried a small charm, a piece of Elias's cracked helmet worn smooth by years. She looked up at the twin stars shining side by side. "I kept ruling, Elias," she whispered, "just like you'd want me to. But sometimes, I still miss your voice." A soft breeze brushed her face. For a moment, she heard it, faint and warm, deep inside her heart. "I never left you, Lyra. I just became the sky you love to look at." She smiled through her tears. "Then shine forever, my light." And high above, the two stars twinkled together, one gold and one blue, their glow forming a soft heartbeat across the dark.